Hey everybody, welcome, welcome. It is Christmas Eve. It is Christmas Eve, and you know that we have to do something for the kids, man. We have to do something for the kids, and you know me, guys. I am an educator at heart. I love the kids, man. So I hope that you will grab your children just for a few moments as Pastor reads this Christmas story, this classic, to our young people. Um, just want to take a moment and love on them as we get ready to, eat and sing and everything like that, and then put them to bed. And for those of you that still, push the Santa Claus narrative and all that kind of stuff, get ready for all of that and the reindeer coming, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We are definitely excited about Christmas. We know that the main reason for Christmas, is celebrating Christ. But we thank God for all of the festivities that are associated that are not religious. They're not religious customs that are associated with the holiday season. I would like to just take a few minutes to just read this classic Christmas story to you and your family. As you can see, I got some decoration behind me. We're down here in the French Quarter in New Orleans, right here in the French Quarter, not too far from all of the happenings. It's just literally right down there, a few blocks. Everything is happening. I mean, it's going in. But I want to take this moment to read to you. Grab your kids, grab your children around, and we're going to read. This is my gift to all of our children on tonight. Tonight, I will be reading How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Every Who down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot, but the Grinch who lived just north of Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be that his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be, perhaps, that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was two sizes too small. He stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted windows below in their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now hanging a mistletoe wreath, and they were hanging their stockings. He snarled with a sneer, "Tomorrow is Christmas. It's practically here." Then he growled, with his Grinch fingers nervously drumming, "I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming." For tomorrow, he knew, all the Who girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush for their toys. Then, and then, oh, the noise, oh, the noise, 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 noise. That's one thing he hated, the noise, 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 noise. Then the Who's, young and old, would sit down to feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast, feast, feast. And they would feast on Who pudding and rare Who beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they do something he liked least of all. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, would stand close together and Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand and the Who's would start singing. They'd sing and they'd sing and they'd sing, sing, sing. And the more the Grinch thought of the Who Christmas sing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years, I've put up with it now. I must stop this Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea, an awful idea. The Grinch got a wonderful, awful idea. I know just what to do. The Grinch laughed with his throat. And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat. And he chuckled and clucked. What a great Grinchy trick. With this coat and this hat, I look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. Did that stop that old Grinch? No, the Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max and looked for some thread. And he tied a big horn on the top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks and some ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. Then the Grinch said, "Giddy up!" And the sleigh started down towards the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark, quiet, snow-filled the air. All the Who's were all dreaming, sweet dreams without care. When he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number one, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, and he climbed to the roof, empty bag in his fist. Then he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch. But if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch. He got stuck only once, for a moment or two. Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where a little whose stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he grinned, are the first thing to go. Then he slithered and slunk, with a smile most unpleasant, around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums, and he stuffed them in a bag. Then the Grinch, very nimbly, stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox. He took the Who's feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why, that Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he stuffed up all the food up the chimney with glee. And now, grinned the Grinch, I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard the small sound like a coo of a dove. He turned around fast and he saw the small Who, little Cindy Lou who was not more than two. The Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter who'd gotten out of bed for a cup of cold water. She started at the Grinch and said, "Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why?" But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick. He thought up a lie, and he thought it up quick. "Why, my sweet little tot," the funny Santa Claus lied, "there's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it home to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there and bring it back here." And his fib fooled the child. Then he patted her head and he got her a drink and sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log for the fire. Then he went up the chimney himself, the old liar. On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some wire. And the one speck of food that was left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Then he did the same thing to the other Who houses, leaving crumbs too small for the other Who mouses. If a quarter past dawn, all the Who's still in bed, all the Who's still a snooze when he packed up his sleigh. Packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings. 3,000 feet up the side of Mount Crumpet, he rode with his load to the tip top to dump it. Pooh pooh to the Who's. He said, grinchishly humming. They're finding out now that no Christmas is coming. They're, they're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open a minute or two. Then the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo hoo. That's a noise, grinned the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear. And he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low, then it started to grow. But the sound wasn't sad. Why? The sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry, very. He started down at Whoville. The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook when he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was singing without presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or other, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from the store. Maybe Christmas perhaps means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they said, the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with the load through the bright morning light. And he brought back the toys and the food for the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that story time with Pastor Bobby. Merry Christmas. Hope you guys have a lot of joy. Hope you guys have a lot of laughter. Spread love on Christmas Day, guys. Have a great one. Love, live, gift. Peace.